Hello, afternoon everyone. Welcome to EduTrends. Uh, I hope nanonood kayo guys kasi interesting masyado ang topic natin ngayon. And with power Dean sa IT, let's talk about in our journey towards become successful version of life or whatever career path we want to take soon. The communities around us are good places for us to grow. According to Ryan
Hello?
Ogilvy, IT is ever changing and there is need to evolve to be relevant. To tell us more about this is Miss Maifa Carina Tuyos, Tech Community Builder and Business Development Manager of Amihan. Welcome po, ma'am. She is being joined by our Dean of College of Information Technology and pinaka guwapo sa IT department namin, si Sir Aaron Vergara. Please.
Grabe, ikaw. Welcome back sa EduTrends and today it's a great honor for us to again have this really interesting talk with I shall say a very beautiful lady po in the IT industry and in here in Davao, and for some time I've come across with her. Nasa sideline tayo, nakita natin si ma'am. Talking more about tech community, building it up. So let me read a little background about our speaker. So Ms. Haifa is a tech builder for the Philippines. She leads and promotes various initiatives for the Philippine tech community, volunteers for DevCon Philippines, and curates for Startup Digest Philippines. Currently, she's a business development manager at Amihan Global Strategies, a strategic consulting company that designs and implements digital transformation for ASEAN enterprise companies. She was the executive director for DevCon Philippines, a national volunteer organization promoting collaborative growth and competence among developers in the Philippines. Prior to DevCon, Haifa was an iOS developer, a project manager and consultant. She has a bachelor's degree in computer science from Ateneo de Cagayan. Without further ado, would like to introduce you all guys for our speaker for today, Ms. Haifa Carina. Ma'am, welcome po sa EduTrends.
Thank
Hello.
you so much, Ron
Hi, ma'am.
and BJ. Thank you. Ayun. So, after lunch pa, no? So, thank you so much. Hopefully, humana magkaon. And yeah, for this afternoon's talk,
Wala
we
pa.
wanted to share with you. Can you guys, naka-flash ng screen? There you go.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So for this afternoon, I'm very excited to share with you a lot of our audience today I think would be mga students, no? So we also have some of the teachers, and hopefully in this session, in this talk, you will learn a thing or two and magamit sa ninyo, not just sa school. The moment you go out of school, the moment you start your sideline and those things, how can it help communities, being part of a community in your career growth, even though wala pa nag-start ang inyong career? So, since we've already, Dean Ron already introduced me earlier, so maybe we can skip some of that one. But essentially, these are my more on credentials. So I do business development manager at Amihan. Essentially, it's technically sales and marketing. And then I used to run DevCon for about 4 years. So if you guys are familiar with DevCon, it's Developers Connect. These are nonprofit organizations for developers. So kinsay mga programmers din ha, kinsay mga any IT related courses, usually they join mga DevCon events. And sa Davao, every year for a time, we were doing DevCon Summit. So if you've attended one, ayun, I hope I was able to bump into you. And then right now, I do community management for the Philippine Tech community. So, sa meaning Philippine Tech community. So, the Philippine Tech community is essentially a group of communities here in the Philippines. So, more on the tech. So, later on, I'll share with you who are the organizations or community involved in this group. And some of the things I do, so I just don't do work like day job. We also do community work, and some of the hobbies that I just do. So I run, I do, if you guys familiar with Spartan races, and I also do wall climbing. So just some of the hobbies I do. Now, so since I assume that a lot of you here in this talk would be a developer, so here is an example of the typical developer career path. So the moment they graduate, they enter into an IT organization, let's say an IT company. They started as a junior developer. And then after that, you get promoted into you get more experience, you become intermediate developer, and then you go into a senior. Some other companies, they call it, I think, developer, software engineer one, software engineer two. So it depends on the naming, but that's pretty much how it works. And then some, after you become a senior developer, you become an architect, and then you go into management. So that's the usual typical developer path. But recently, there has been a lot of job roles that barely existed 5 years ago. And also to note, this was in 2008, so about a year ago pa niya siya. And there are more, definitely more roles today that that never existed years or at least a decade before. So let's just go through some of them. No, this was published by LinkedIn, and it's interesting. In 2008, for example, when I started I started as an iOS developer 2011, and I was one of the, here in the Philippines, there were very, very few iOS developers I knew, and that I was already in Manila then, and very few lang ako nahibalaan na ga iOS dev. So what you had to do is really Stack Overflow, find forums, and find people who are very knowledgeable or at least experienced in iOS development during that time. And right now, there are more groups, there are more Facebook groups wherein you can chat with them, and there are more resources online for those people who are developing and creating tutorials or those kinds of resources. There are many resources right now, but before there were very few. So before, let's say, these are just some of the examples, no? So in 2008, there were pila ni 89 lang ang iOS developers on LinkedIn. And then by 2013, it jumped up into 12,634. So that was like a 142 times growth in 5 years. Similarly, Android developers, there were very few then, but right now there's a huge demand for Android developers. And others, let's say si Zumba instructor, there were very few then. Karon daghan ng mga Zumba instructors, especially if you wanted to get more fit. Social media intern. So who would have thought na doing a lot of Facebook and Instagram would be a role today, diba? So now we already have roles for social media. And then some, okay, data science, medyo enterprise, more on the analytics part naman. We go to the more analytics part. So before, there were very few data scientists. And who would have thought during that time, what's a data scientist? You wouldn't know. But right now, it's a very highly sought after na role on data scientist. And for the big companies naman, since we deal with plenty of data, there are many roles on big data architecture. And then right now, very trending and very useful and relevant are UI and UX designers. Before, what we just call them graphic designers, but right now it's beyond that one. So dili lang siya about designing a logo, designing a website. Now you have to gather what is the best experience for our users. So those kinds of roles. And some, apparently, there's now beach body coach. There's a role for that now. And of course, we also have cloud services. So before, there weren't a lot of cloud services, but now we need more cloud services specialists. And ayun, digital marketing related as well to social media. So it's not just about ads sa TV or sa billboard. Now there are many channels where you have to maximize to be up to date with the current EduTrends. And sakto, the title of our session today is on EduTrends. So hopefully these are the things, as you can see, there are so many roles that never existed before, but right now they're very on demand. And we can already imagine what would it be like 5 years from now for the students that started the school or started college this year. In 5 years or so, 4 years or 5 years or so, you will graduate, and by then there are more new roles that you can explore. So for this talk, I wanted to share with you something that who would make you think what are the things that can give you these career advantages. So by default, this is also the typical, no, what are the special career advantages? So imagine when you, for graduating students, whenever you graduate na, what are the career advantages common? So one of the common career advantages, of course, if you have Latin honors, if you have you're summa cum laude or a cum laude, by default, you will really rank high sa listahan ng HR. Now, okay, if this person is able to have this kind of Latin honors, ibig sabihin this person has the discipline, has the skills or the motivation or determination to really improve and really do well in what this person is trying to pursue. So that's one. Next would be the live portfolio. So for example, I will usually just share more examples from the IT. No, if there are people that are not in the IT field in this talk, so just bear with me na lang. But try to think of it that way na if you're not in the IT, what are the things that you can also that is also applicable to your industry. So for example, in the IT world, if you are still a student and you are already doing some sidelines, if for example you created a website for a friend, or you have a family member who asked you to create a website for him or for her, or you created some posters or newsletters, those kinds of things, that is a huge advantage. Why? So the reason why it's a huge advantage whenever you have a portfolio, even though it's not even if it's not yet live, as long as you have it available whenever, let's say, and the HR would ask of you. But if you already have a live portfolio, let's say, ilagay mo na lang siya sa,
Mhm.
I think there are different websites wherein you can put your portfolio there. You can already have more on a reference. Now, these are the things you are capable of doing. And one more thing pala. So even if you're still a student and you're already doing some sidelines, it tells you, or it tells the company where you might want to work for, that you have the initiative to do something that you enjoy, or you already have the initiative and you already have the experience. That's one of the worries most students have, wherein whenever they graduate they don't have experience yet, so they kind of have this difficulty trying to get the kinds of jobs that they want. So from now, try to start a little sideline, even if you do it for free, let's say, as long as you have work done, especially as well if you are part of any student organization. You can already use the work you've done for that organization, your student org, your government body. You can use that as your portfolio, that these are the posters I've done, these are the websites I've done for my student orgs, and that is a really huge advantage for you. Next would be the connections. So one of the things as well, this is an advantage, especially if you're very active in your student organization. I, for one, had this advantage before because I was very active since second year college. I was very active in our student org and I met a lot of people. So I talked to the speakers, I talked to the partners from different schools. Whenever we look for sponsors, let's say, or partners, I get to talk to them. So whenever I graduated, I already know a lot of them. And I already have the feedback. So while talking to them, okay, what is the industry like? What are the things? What are the projects that you guys are doing? So those kinds of insights, you get value. And whenever there is something that you need, sometimes it's just easier that you know someone and then ask that person for feedback. Or if you're looking for resources, let's say for speakers, it's easier that you already have the connections. And then when you need, let's say, okay, I need a role, or I know someone looking for a UX designer, then it's easier for you that, okay, I have a friend who's also very good. And also for these connections that you have, they will also ask you, Uy, Haifa, do you know someone who has this skill set? So it's a win-win situation, and it's a huge advantage. Now, even though you're still at school, you start building connections. So whenever you already in the industry, and even though even especially for those professionals already, whenever they have the connections and they expand their connections more, you don't realize that the opportunity, instead of you looking for the opportunities, these connections, the opportunities go to you. So ayun. So with all of these, I like cats. So with all of these special advantages, some of you might ask, "Oh, Haifa, we don't have currently. I don't have connections. I don't even have a live portfolio. I haven't done anything. I don't have any sidelines before. And with my grades, I think far pa siya from having that Latin honors advantage. So what can you do from here? Here, I wanted to share with you how the communities can help you in your career growth nga. So as you can see, we have here, this is just a part of the Philippine tech community. So as you can see on the top left, we have here si DevCon, but there are more communities available today where you can be part of. And it's easier right now because everyone's online. So whenever they do events, they just do it live na lang sa Facebook or sa YouTube. And you don't have to be physically there. So you can already join them, even though you don't have to be physically there. So some of them would be, let's say, si Angular, Angular Philippines. Let's say si AWS. So if you're using AWS, there is a group for that one. And we also have Python groups, WordPress. There are also some. And for those who are doing iOS development, we have Swift. For ladies naman who wanted to work or be part of a community where one of them is Women Who Code, we also have Ladies Who UX. And for web development or web design naman, we have Philippine Web Developers Organization. And for those who does PHP naman, we also have Philippine Users Group. Just try to look for them in, actually, just to plug it in. So if you wanted to have a list, if you wanted to see the list of existing groups here in the Philippines, just type in phcommunity.org. And then you will see there's a directory there of the list of communities here in the Philippines. And based on your interest and where do you want to be part of and what are the things that you wanted to learn, just go there and you can see the list. There are social media and links there. And you can also see their meetup pages then. So you will know what are the upcoming events. So we have a calendar in that website. So you can see next week what are the events happening wherein you can join there. So how can communities help you in your career growth? So I was talking about the different types of communities, mostly in the IT, no? And how can they help you exactly? So the first one is really job opportunities. Typically, when you look for a job opportunity, you go to JobStreet, apply, or send your resume, or look for the go to the website of the company you wanted to apply, and then send your resume. That's a typical route, right? But one use case, and a lot of the use cases I know as well, is that being part of a community landed me my first job. So how did this happen ba? So as I was saying, the community, I was part of the student org, and the community then was very small, but then I get to interact, diba, with different people. And one of the person I was talking to was part of, I think it was a Philippine users group yata siya. And then from there, I was involved in talking, in communicating with the speakers. And when we were organizing one of these events, we call it Quantum IT Convention, I spoke to one of the speakers, and then we communicated and what are the things. And he found out that I was a graduating student. And he was talking, after the event concluded, he sent me an email, Haifa, are you looking for job opportunities. It was February that time, so I wasn't exactly looking for a job then. I was just trying to finish my thesis. And ayun, I didn't graduate yet, but already have a job offer waiting for me. And that didn't happen once. I think it happened twice pa. So those kinds of things. So this is just one of the examples, especially for students, no. Try to expand and engage with the people in the community because you'll never know who are the people you might work with. And also, even if, let's say, for some of you listening who are already professionals, you'll never know na the people you are talking to or the people you work with, let's say you went to for those of you who are joining hackathons, let's say, for sure you met a lot of people then ng mga participants, right? One way or another, you get to interact with them. And you found out na, okay, this person is really good at this specific technology. And then, let's say, ano na lang, iOS developer. You met an iOS developer and you saw that, oh, these are the things that he's done. And you really like the way he works. Now, in your work, or you know someone or your friend, they mentioned na, oh, we're looking for iOS developers. Now that you know na, in the event na you found out that they're looking for an iOS developer, and then you met someone at an event who is also an iOS developer and you think might fit the role that your friend is looking for, then you can match them. You can refer them together. So it's a small world in a way, but it's really huge wherein you get to know all of these people because the opportunities are everywhere. It's really more of just trying to match the people, what they're looking for, and what's available out there. So, ayun, the power of referral. So you just refer someone that you know, or if, for example, as well, you met, let's say, one of the speakers na lang that you were able to talk to during an event, in a community event. They mentioned na, oh, we're looking for web developers or WordPress developers. And then some of your friends who knows how to develop using WordPress. Then you can tell them, oi, I have a friend who's looking for that. Then you just try to refer, and opportunities are all over the place. And the same way, side projects. So if you're still a student right now and you're very active in the community, one way or another, you'll meet someone who will always be looking for sidelines. And then you can take all of these different sidelines. So you just have to be more engaging. So if you like talking to people, this is really good for you. But if you're a little bit introvert, this is one way for you to try to get out of the box and try to practice your communication skills naman. So yeah, side projects. And here, we did a survey back in 2019. This was in DevCon CDO naman, Cagayan de Oro. And based on our survey, we asked them, what are the opportunities the tech community has brought to you? So about 60% said skills development. Of course, because when you're part of the community, a lot of the activities there involve giving talks, workshops, competitions. And that's how they develop their skills, not outside. Yeah, their skills. And then others naman, it's a huge percentage wherein 40% said that they got their full-time job by being part of the community. So that's huge. And some of them also said, like about 35% said they got sideline opportunities just by being part of the community. So it's huge, no? When we're just talking about opportunities in terms of careers. Now, next one is knowledge and mentorship. Of course, by default, you wanted to be part of the community because we wanted to learn, diba? And then other times we forget that mentorship is also one, but I'll share more on that one. So knowledge. So being part of a community opens up multitudes of ways to solve the same problem based on their experience. So a lot of times, whenever we try to learn or we bump into something, we try to solve it, diba? Or I guess it's different now, but before, you try to solve it on your own. So I have an algorithm problems, I want to solve it. You try to figure it out on your own. However, when you reach a point na isod na lagi niya siya, I need to find other resources, then you Google it. And then sa Google, you will find the different Stack Overflow questions or sa Quora questions. You will see that there are a lot more people who experience the same problem as you, and there are so many different solutions available there. So, in a community setup, whenever a speaker is giving a talk, let's say a technical talk, and they would share, let's say sa WordPress na lang ang example natin, you're trying to create a plugin, a WordPress plugin. And then, this person, you have you were also doing the same thing. You were also creating a WordPress plugin, and then you attended that talk. And then what happened there was that um that speaker shared with you or share with the audience, these are three problems that I was able to encounter while doing this plugin. And then you realize, oh, I had that problem before. How did that person solve it? Although you already solved it, and then that person was also was able to solve it as well. And then you figure out you two had had different approaches on the same on solving the same problem, but it worked. And then when it will be helpful is that, for example, one of the audience there as well is going to create the same plugin, and that person will experience the same problem. That person will have two different ideas on how to resolve that same problem. So those kinds of things, it's very helpful to know na how are people approaching the same problems that I am encountering. So for others, he doesn't have to solve it on his own because he already had a heads up on how to solve it. And also, you can also ask the people in the talk, in the event, in the session, I have this problem. How do you guys solve it? Or how would you plan to solve it? So those kinds of brainstorming is very helpful because there are many ways to solve any issues or concerns. And next would be the industry trend. So this is one of the key things wherein we join any event, we go to a talk, we attend a session, we join a workshop so that we know what are the trends, not just here, not just in Davao, not just in Philippines. You wanted to know what are the trends out there in the world wherein we can really use, diba? So what are the cutting edge technologies that we can try? What are the best practices that we can apply in our own projects? Those. And mentorship opportunities. So here, it's different. I wanted to share with you one of the things, one of our volunteers, one of the benefits that one of our volunteers at DevCon had experienced. No? So this person, well, a lot of the volunteers kasi at DevCon, they are mostly around mga 2 years of college. So meaning they're already working, but starting pa lang. And being part of DevCon, they were able to meet a lot of fellow developers and fellow developers while they were still starting, they learn a lot. Not just sa company itself. So of course you learn from the company because you gain those experience, right? But when you meet other kinds of people and you guys are doing the same thing, you can get to ask them, oh, I have this problem. How are you going to approach this one? So there are people you can ask if they've already encountered the same problems or what are the best practices, those kinds. And if they would share a lot of times as well during the conversations, if you're a volunteer, kahit nasa side lang kayo, you would ask them, wait, I experienced this problem, there's coding problem, and then this is how I resolved it. And then you would ask that person, how does that work? And then you learn through those kinds of conversations. And that becomes a mentor. And also it's a two-way. It's not just because you're the beginner or you're early, let's say I'm just an early iOS developer and the other person is a really good Python developer already. So I can teach the Python developer some of the iOS stuff I know, and then that Python person can teach me stuff about Python as well. So you both can be mentors in one topic or the other. And thirdly is improve soft skills. So it's not just about puro technical, no, when you become part of a community. Especially if you become more engaging, you just don't attend and listen in. if you start asking questions, that's when how you articulate your questions. You will try to improve that one. You're okay, sige. I'll identify na lang what are the soft skills I'm talking about now. So one is communication skills. So many ways on how to improve your communication skills when you become part of a community. One, if you volunteer as a speaker, anyone can give a talk sa communities. Ha? You don't have to be very experienced to share what you know. So communication skills. So if you are a speaker, mapapractice yung communication skills mo because you have to be able to articulate or communicate easily and clearly what it is that you want to explain. If you are part of the audience and you ask a question to speaker, you would try to explain your questions clearly so that the speaker can understand what you're trying to ask, what you are trying to say. And also, whenever you're attending, let's say, a hackathon, and you've teamed up with someone that you don't know that much, or you're not exactly your friend, but you work together anyway. So you have to be able to clearly explain what is it that you want this person to do, or what is it that you want to communicate or work with together. So communication skills is improved whenever you become part of the community and you engage in it. Next would be teamwork. So especially if you're attending mga competitions, or even if you're a volunteer. So these are all volunteers. So if you become part of a community and you try to volunteer, you get to experience or improve your teamwork. Why? Because it's very critical, because whenever you graduate, whenever you work in a company, or whenever you're in a professional setting already, this is very important, because in a company, you don't work alone. So you will have to work with someone else. So you have to be able to improve how to deal with other people and working as a team as well. So one person does this, one person does another role. And how do you guys stitch them together to work it seamlessly? And ayun. So this is just one wherein this is one of the phrase that I really like. So soft skills get little respect but will make or break your career. So as you can see, it's not just because you're really good at in terms of the technical terms, no, you're really good at programming, you're really good at, let's say, designing. But then if you cannot communicate, if you cannot work with other people, you will get stuck, because not all people will be able to understand you. Your clients wouldn't be able to understand you. And ayun, it's better if your technical skills will be highly complemented with your soft skills. So this is very important. And yun, so IT career tip for you, especially for students right now, is that engage with your tech community. If you don't know what are tech communities, or how can I find them? Usually they're just in Facebook, actually, especially right now. You can just find, let's say, if your interest right now is on game development, just search game development groups and you will find a bunch of them. You can ask them what are the resources they go to, what are the talks, and they usually share them tips and announcements na, uy, let's say the game companies are having this talk or having this session wherein you can be part of. So engage with your community, because that's how you're able to start growing your growth. And finally, give back. So for example, for me, a lot of the career growth I have throughout the years was really because of the community. So it's because I've met a lot of people that helped me through my soft skills, my communication skills, my dealing with people skills, management skill, project management skills. And in the technical side naman, I learned a lot from the people who are also doing the same thing. Now, since I have all of these experience, every time I know something, I try to give back by sharing it to others. So this is kind of a circle in the community. You learn a lot, and then you try to give back, because you'll never know, there is someone out there who will be able to find it useful, whatever it is that you learned. So give back, ayun. So try, this is your this is our call to action now. So be part of any of the tech communities in your interest. So not just, we don't limit it anymore to just Davao City. So try to go out. Where are the available communities in the Philippines that I can be part of? So if your interest is any of these, try to be part of them and see what are the things that you can learn. And in your own circle, what are the things that you can share, let's say, with your colleagues, with your classmates? And yun. So if you attend, let's say, one of the sessions, uy, join tayo for this one, interesting on topic, we might learn something. You could really use this one in your projects as well. Ayun. And ayun, so being part of the community is based on our, I guess, in the almost a decade that I've been in the community, a lot of the people are now married because they met together in the community. So if you're looking for the one, ayun. So these are just two of the couples that they met. So these two, this is Melay and Terence. They met as a volunteer at one of the events. So they're married now, they have a baby. And these two naman, these are both, they volunteered as speakers naman. Now they're both together. And that's it. Hopefully we made you, this session has been valuable to you, and you were able to get some insights or ideas on how can I leverage the existing communities in my area, in the country, and in Davao, to be part and really grow my skills, not just for whenever I go out, whenever I graduate, but even starting from now. If what can I do now, even though I'm still at school? And that's it. Thank you so much. I turn it over now to Dean Ron. Dean Ron. Nakamute ka ata, Dean Ron.
Sir, nakamute ka, sir.
Nakamute
Sir
ka.
Aaron.
Yeah,
Sir.
hello.
Ayan, okay na.
Sir.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. Ma'am Haifa, thank you very much for the really nice talk that you have given us, and just a short parang summary of what I got from your talk. First, from one of the talks also of I could just remember one of the talks of Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg. Sinabi niya doon na ano na it's really important for us to be friendly at any time, anywhere we go daw. Kasi you just don't know what that person will become, yung naging friend mo in the future. So, tama nga, masyado, no, na it's always a gain for us to be, like, have this innate being friendly and being open to collaboration. And kasi when you graduate as a professional, actually, it will really matter most nga kung marami kang network. It would really help you a lot. And then you have also emphasized also about the power of yung referral, no? Kasi the more linkages you have, the more people that could refer you, or you could refer to, and in some instances that you might be needing, or you could be a help to others. And then maganda din yung sinabi niyo din po that with more linkages, in looking at a single problem, it could be a more dimension that you can look at it, kasi sometimes yung sinusolve mo pala na-solve na in more efficient way than others. And then yes, well, and then having this wide network, it's a lot of mentorship opportunities that also you can get. And most importantly, giving back. Yeah, it tells a lot. If you want to be larger than yourself, you give back, and it's a fulfillment that you could really feel. And it's this kind of person of this initiative na ginagawa niyo po, ma'am, that are actually helping a lot of people also. And by the way, before I forget, I'd like to recognize the presence of Dr. Mark Anthony Sabili. Ms. Haifa, he is joining us po from Manila. Hi po,
Yes.
Dr. Mark.
Hi, Dr. Mark.
Hi po. So,
Good afternoon.
afternoon. So, right now, I think nandito na tayo sa ating Q&A part. Kung meron tayong mga tanong, merong isang tanong sa comment kanina, but before that, I'd like to request sana, Si Dr. Mark muna, ma'am. Pakinggan natin si Doc Mark. Baka may gusto siyang sabihin sa atin. Sa ano.
I would like to ask, what are the current opportunities that are waiting for this for our students, especially in pandemic? Most of our students are having hard to enter the workforce. Yeah. So how do we deal with those?
Are we for ano no? I'm not sure about, so I can only speak for the IT industry, no. So for the IT industry kasi
Yeah,
right
for the
now,
IT
they have
industry.
IT naman, no. So for the IT industry right now, it has shifted a lot from, okay, everyone has to apply in person. You have to do these exams before. So, 'di ba, for whenever we enter the, let's say, in a company, they give this exams. Right now, these exams or the applications are now done via Zoom, via video conference call. So that's how it is right now in terms of the applications. And then the work right now, it has also shifted a lot because companies are now allowing work from home. So before it was 5 days, everyone has to work in the office. Now it has shifted. Oh, even though even years before, like around 5 years ago, some of the companies are already open to, let's say, 2 days work from
Yes.
anywhere or 2 days work from home, and then it's just 3 days you can work from office. And then right now it's just all full days work from home. So the companies have become more open on that one. So now, to be fair, I was talking to the different IT companies then since the past few months. And one of the booming industry really right now is really the IT. The reason for that one, so there are a lot of opportunities right now. Why? Because the companies or the huge companies who are are very reliant on the physical setup are now trying to automate almost all of
Mm.
their, not all, most
Yes, yes.
of the processes they can automate. So they need IT companies to automate these processes for them, and they need it fast. Otherwise, they won't be able to deliver what it is that they're trying to do in their business. So yun, one, IT is still booming, and actually it is really booming right now, and a lot of the projects are being closed, and and it's 2020 and everyone's working from home, where everyone's working remotely. So for the IT, um there aren't a lot of challenges in terms of looking for jobs because the number of openings right now has really increased. So for what are the things that our students or the professionals or those looking for jobs right now, what can they do, no? So what can they do really is look for a lot of what are the really more of what are the things that you want to do, and try to look for opportunities there, and try to look for mga opportunities. Then I wanted to share with you na since there are a lot of opportunities available, try to look for the things that really that interest you. So if there's a company, and let's say you like to do mobile development or you want to do game development, try to look for companies that really fits in your interest, because it's not just because I wanted to work for this company because I just needed work. So try to look for something that really is aligned and something that you find interesting, because it keeps you going. It's not just parang ano, eventually you get bored if you're doing a job which is something that you don't enjoy. So yun, there are many opportunities. You really just have to look for it. So there are many ways naman. So one is LinkedIn. A lot of the companies right now are posting their opportunities on LinkedIn. Some of them are also posting on Facebook if you can see it. Okay, one more thing. So let's say your expertise is in Python now. Try to look for the groups that are focused on Python, because you will see a lot of the recruiters or the HR people are also posting their opportunities in Python groups. So it depends on where you're interested in, and then go to those places where the people are hanging out. And also one more thing, so if you're part of the community nga, and try to ask, what are the are there any job openings, let's say for Angular JS related or game development? Just ask, because one way or another, since everyone's looking for roles right now, everyone's looking for developers, everyone is looking for IT resources. One way or another, at least there will be two people who will respond to your inquiry that, hey, we're looking for these kinds of roles. Ayun. So opportunities, there are a lot right now. It's really more of what are the ways that you can explore and expand, and what are the initiatives that you are making to find these opportunities. I hope that answered your question, Dr. Mark.
Okay. Mm. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for that answer, Miss Haifa. And in connection to that also, may isang question po tayo coming from our viewers. This is coming from Bogs Mamolintao. Hi, good afternoon po. I'm a civil engineering student, but I would like to ask, gaano po ba kalaki ang percentage na ang IT graduate ay makakahanap ng work sa Pilipinas? And IT po ba natin sa Pilipinas is masasabi po ba natin globally competitive? Salamat po, na-curious lang ako. God bless. So,
yes, I don't have a percentage on the number of IT, no, but it's really huge. So even just wanted to share with you, back in, so I was a computer science student, okay, but during that time, our course was under the College of Engineering. So mga kasabay namin doon, there were civil engineers, there were ECE, those kinds. But then when we went to the workplace already, or nakita-kita kami mga engineering, College of Engineering folks. Many of them are in the IT. So it was weird for me that really you're doing programming right now. Yes, because one of the reasons for them was I guess there were around 3 people who graduated ECE who were in the IT field. So as you can see, even though, and also, so that's one. And then those are engineering. And also there, I know a lot of people who graduated philosophy. I also know 2 people who, I know, one lang pala. One person who graduated or really by educated was a nursing student, a nursing professional, and they all shifted to IT because what were their reasons why they shifted? So I guess one was that in their interest was okay, interested sila sa IT, where the opportunities, and it's not a blocker na you graduated in one course and then you can no longer go into IT. So because there are a lot of opportunities in IT, and you don't need to be, as you can see, medyo nga right now, di ba, na some people no longer need your diploma, your college diploma, but for in general, it's still a very huge advantage if you have one. So the idea here is that in terms of IT, there are a lot of opportunities, and in terms of global competitiveness na, yes, we're very globally competitive. Actually, we're competing with ano nga din eh. So we have the huge one. So of course, US, they're very advanced. So we're also in terms of IT resources. So Philippines, let's say this just compares to Philippines and to India. India also has a huge IT resources. But one of the things that keeps the Philippines has the advantage is that in school kasi we use English as our main medium. And that's one of the things that they really, the clients or global clients really like, is that we can communicate. Even though some of us are that really proficient, but since we're able to understand and communicate what we wanted to say in English, it's easier to work with us. And in terms of skills naman, so how do we know that we are globally competitive, no? So one, there are some of the organizations say na, certifications, they're no longer important. But right now, there is a huge demand. So just to let everyone know what are the trends right now. Let's say sa cloud. So there's a huge trend right now in terms of certifications for specifics, more on the specialization, not just the general, but more on the specialty. So for example, if you wanted to take roles on AWS, so that's Amazon Web Services, if you wanted to be skilled at that one, they have certifications to let you know, let's say on big data or on security. If you wanted to be globally competitive, try to take those kinds of certifications, then you would know that it's the same certifications globally. And a lot of the companies right now are encouraging their employees to take this because it's a huge advantage for their clients as well. But in terms of globally, where the companies that we have here, we are very competitive because a lot of our clients are also globally then. So yun, I hope that answered my question to, I forgot his name. So to the person who asked that question, a civil engineer, I hope I was able to answer your question.
Miss Carina, can I
Yes.
ask?
Yes.
How was the you were mentioning about a different field and then joining an IT. How was the transition?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah, yeah.
this is where
Even
the
that
community,
they are
yes.
non-techie persons.
Agree. This is the interesting part of the
Oo.
community because I only found out about these people during the community when talking to them because again, as what Sir Dean Ron mentioned, no, you try to be friendly with everyone. So by being friendly, meaning you can ask, "Oi, what are you doing? What were you doing right now? What were you doing then?" So that's only how I found out. Really, you're a nursing. So they were really practicing nursing, and then eventually, this person is actually a girl. So she was a practicing nursing, and then 1 year parang na-involved lang siya sa isang community. They do mobile apps pala. And then right now, she's already hindi man hardcore, pero that's what she does now for a living. She develops mobile apps. And also, mobile apps, not just related in a way kasi she was doing nursing, no? Related to kids naman. So, doing mobile apps, trying to teach kids how to develop din yung mga mobile apps. So, mga ganong types. And how was the transition for them? At I think it was really more on the interest
Yes.
and you were able to emerge yourself with like-minded people na, for example, me, that person na lang, si nursing person yung example natin. So first, nag-join lang muna siya. It was just a talk. So okay, that's how iOS development works. Now, the next thing that she was doing was she was very active na sa community. Like she would attend every session on iOS development and get to talk to other developers.
Yes.
So ganun lang. So sa start, and then she started doing her own projects na. And then since hindi pa naman yan default right now, since nagsa-start ka lang, may
Well
makukuha
versed
ka
dun
ng
sa
job.
programming.
Yes, hindi ka pa ganun ka-versed. So what she did was
Right.
she had her own pet projects. And those pet projects, and also, so pet projects, and also she
Hello.
attended competitions then. So the competitions help because they kind of have, so since you get to work with other people then, you get to have different views on how to resolve things, diba? So those kinds of things. So more on exposure and working with actual projects. So she has her own pet project. She also has her own um, mga competition projects na din. And then eventually, I think she had a startup then that they was able to publish and eventually got sold. And ayun, naging main work niya na. So those kinds of things. So yun yung usual, hindi naman usual, pero common path, no? Wherein if you're not from the IT, you didn't have the IT degree, you can still go into IT. How? So one is really get yourself involved in where are the people, how do I engage with the people who are doing the same thing that I want to do. So yun nga, si community. Pag may mga Facebook group dyan, try to check out what are they doing, ano yung mga events na available to them para you know what's happening. And really, hindi lang siya more on learning. You really have to do it. So create your own projects, create your own, or if there's a competition there that you will match a challenge ka na gamitin yung technology that you want to use, do it para may experience ka. And then eventually, you have all of these experience whenever you apply for a job, let's say, na tapos different. Bakit, philosophy ka tapos nag-apply ka sa IT? What's your experience? Then you can show the things that you've already done. Ayun.
Opo. Okay, thank you for that question, Dr. Sabilina. And to add up lang po kanina sa tanong ma'am na kasi for as what I've learned, parang number 4 yata tayo sa Southeast Asia on the most techy na mga tao. So IT indeed is really in demand in the Philippines, and
Very.
the community here is really thriving very good. And then
Yes.
and in one of the videos also of Nas Daily, if you're familiar with Nas Daily, sabi nila na nasa
Yeah,
so,
the last day. Yeah.
yeah, soon a lot of if you don't know how to code, or you don't have any background sa IT aside, it would be really quite difficult for you to thrive sa future na mga jobs, because right now, as he said, there are already parang tinatawag na useless category, because in the future mawawala yung mga job na yon.
Mawawala.
So yeah, so in whatever passion you have, if you try to integrate IT, I think it would really get you a long way, no? Kasi yan yung I think that it's already there. It's very evident, no? So Miss Haifa, parang so far po ano po yung mga pinagkakaabalahan natin ngayon? Ano po yung natin? Especially
Right
pandemic
now,
naman.
ano na, sa pandemic, more on this one pa rin. So, as much as possible, we have, di ba, so we have a day job. Well, actually, if I'm not sure para sa inyo, if the same din ba na experience nyo. So, mas dumadami yung meetings natin at work, na naka-work
Yeah,
from
yeah.
home tayo ngayon, compared
Opo.
nung dati. So, although we are, I don't know, for me, I'm more productive this way because I can just focus now. And there's no travel time. And here in Manila, di ba, sobrang traffic. So, at least na-reduce na yung part na yon. And then, when I'm not doing work naman, so I try to do community work. So, what are the things that you can help the community din naman? Ayun. And mga other stuff like hobbies na lang, because, yun nga, when you're in quarantine, you're just at home. I don't know, it's just me na being extrovert. I really needed to go out and see at least mga people lang moving just to see other vibes with other people. So, that's me. Kayo ba? How was it? Ano yung nabibisihan ninyo?
So far, actually maraming work. So, busy sa
Yeah.
work. Ganun po. And, actually,
Online
marami. Online. At saka yung, uso ngayon ang, di ba? Mga hardinera, yung mga plants. So,
Plantitos
Isa
and plantitas.
I don't, plantitos, plantitas, ganun.
Yes.
I don't know about Dr. Mark. Anong pinagkakaabalahan niyo
Dr.
ngayon,
Mark.
Dr. Mark? By the way, may bagyo pa naman ngayon dyan, no? Ingat po lagi
umalis
dyan,
na.
Dr. Mark.
Yeah, actually in kahapon luckily yung power failure naayos na ng Meralco. Ayun. So Ma'am Haifa,
Yes.
I would like to ask also na of course yung mga clients, 'di ba, mga international clients. So of course our yung mga incoming na applicants would have to deal with 'di ba meron silang mga shifting, right?
Yes, time
Like
zones.
evening shift.
Yup.
Yeah. Yeah. Meron din, no?
Meron din. Meron nga like there's a regular shift, a morning shift, and there's a mid shift, and there's a graveyard shift. So it depends din. Depends kung who are the clients that they are serving then.
What are the so for the sake of what are the particular countries na na kinikate?
Okay. So usual
Yes.
clients that I see, no, not just for our company but for
In
others.
relation to time zone.
Okay. So example na
Kasi
lang.
'di ba
So,
pagka Australian, 'di ba, medyo day shift 'yun, 'di ba? Kapag ka American, it's an evening shift, 'di ba?
Oo, and even American, iba-iba din yung shift kasi may different time zones din sila. So, yung mga na lang, experience. Let's say, when your clients are from Australia, let's say, your day starts at 7. So, 7 a.m. So, kung pasok natin dito is at 8, sa kanila, they start at 7 or maybe even 6. And for others naman, let's say, before I tried US, Florida naman yung client namin then. we started work at 10 p.m. and then end at 6. Ganon. 10 p.m. and then 6. So, totally different siya. Totally the opposite. So, that's a graveyard. So, iba-iba din siya. Pero usually, yun naman yung mga clients dito. Most clients here sa Philippines din. So, we have from Australia. We also have from US na different time zones. We have sa UK din. And I think those are the common na mga countries no, where the common countries that we serve them. In terms of time zone.
Okay. Thank you for that, Dr. Sabile. Ma'am, tanong ko lang din po, especially sa time ng the pandemic, one of the challenges that the educational sector is actually facing, in fact, Chad has also raised that in some of our meetings na raised din na question, yung pag-render po ng ating OJTs. Are there many companies din po ba na parang open to accept OJT kahit sa online, kasi right now I think it would be quite not so possible for us to face to face
deploy. Correct.
Opo.
That one, good question. I haven't asked that one actually among the companies, but given nga na a lot of the IT companies are yung setup is work from home or work remotely, yes, I think it should. So, but I will share an update na lang. I'll try to ask around the different companies if they're open. But I think yes naman. Oo.
Sana bigyan nyo kami update niyan, Ma'am.
Yes, I will. Oo.
Thank you po.
Ma'am, may question po ako, ma'am. Hello.
Yes.
As a student po, ma'am, ang mas I get to the point na, kasi marami akong mga friends na IT din, nag-development sila, web developer, or sa back-end sila talaga so ang tanong nila palagi sa akin is saan ang mas pinakamalaking sweldo? Ang developer or ang web
it depends.
Web dev?
It depends. So, it also depends on it depends on many things. So, but let's say if you go into a large, really huge companies, medyo mataas na yung nila. Medyo mataas yung sahod. The reason din for that is that di din naman basta-basta makakapasok doon. And they really do, actually, it really depends nga talaga. And also, what are the things na more on, what can you offer to the company, diba? Ayun. So, that's one. So, what are the experience? And it's also huge bump then, the one I shared with you earlier, diba, na if you have already a portfolio, even if you're still a student, and you already have something that you can show, malaking huge bump yun. Kasi it tells you na, this person, even though hindi siya actually paid na experience, but this is still considered an experience. So, it's really something that I wanted to emphasize talaga, na try to have your own portfolio. Kahit mga free projects lang, that's something you can show. Malaking bump yun. Kasi all the rest ng mga students, wala yung experience. So if you know this information, ayun, it's a really huge bump for you. So, ayun. So sa web naman, hindi ganun kalaki. Kasi yung mga gumagawa ng mga webs are more on the small companies. I'm talking about mga corporate, the big ones are the corporations like mga IBM, mga Accenture, mga ganyan. And then the smaller ones are the much smaller companies. However, it's mas maraming opportunities. Like, there are many people looking for web developers right now. So, mas marami kang opportunities. Well, hindi ganun ka taas yung starting point, but there are many opportunities available for you, and it's faster than for you to level up, to grow. Sa corporations naman, medyo mataas na yung yung, let's say, yung starting point mo, pero yung in terms of, let's say, yung growth in terms of ang dami mong gustong matutunan, it's not that huge then, or hindi naman limited, pero medyo slowly lang. Ayun. So there are many pros and cons, and in terms of sino yung mas malaki, it really depends din. So it depends on what you can offer. So as much as now, for your friends na nagtatanong doon, para tumaas na yung level nila before they enter, try to build some experience. Kahit yung mga free projects na lang sila dun, let's say, sa kakilala nila, mga ganon. Para they have, whenever they graduate, uy, may experience na pala to kahit fresh grad pa siya. Huge bump yun. Ayun.
Ma'am, last question na lang po, ma'am.
Sige.
Last question. Ma'am, sa pag po ba ng IT, kunwari ma'am, ako alam ko mag-Java, then lahat ng hindi lahat ng language, so basic lang alam ko. So ano ba ang sa industry, ano ba talaga ang language ang pinipiling yun?
It also depends on the company. So every company has their own different expertise, no? Or they have their own set of tools na ginagamit. So, let's say, ano mga example natin? So, there's a company called, let's say, Orange and Bronze. Si Orange and Bronze is an IT company and they're very huge in, Java. So, huge Java shop yan sila. And there's also a company or sister company namin, Exist Software Labs naman. Java talaga yung main expertise. Others naman, ginagamit nila Ruby on Rails naman, yung gamit nila. Others are using Python. Although before, yun yung nagiging expertise ng mga companies, but a lot of the companies now are also expanding. So, kung ano yung mga latest, kunyari, na mga technologies, let's say Python. Right now, very trending si Python. The reason for that one is that si Python kasi enables yung mga data analytics na parts. So, sa mga data science, sa mga data science, Python is one of the main programming language na ginagamit. And it's easier din to learn. And, ayun. So, it depends din talaga kung ano yung kind of company that you wanted to join. So, you will adjust based dun sa anong ginagamit nilang programming language. So, yeah.
Okay po, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you for that question.
Ma'am Haifa, may question din po.
Sige po.
Yeah. You were speaking about, 'di ba, yung mga project-based, 'di ba, yung mga project-based ng mga task. Yeah. Of course, given na of course, most of the students, especially nowadays, pag turning 13 na, syempre, they are looking forward na they want, is it only project based, or is there assurance of security of tenure, ganon? Parang ganon.
Sa work
Dun
ba
sa
to?
mga affiliated na.
What do you mean na affiliated, like project-based? Like sa actual work?
Yes.
Okay. So, sa mga there are different types din naman of
Yes.
work arrangements. So, I'll share with you some, no? By
Yes.
default, talaga, full-time
Yung mga,
job.
I mean, yung mga offer sa kanila na work, whether it's contractual or meron silang chance na maging tenured, ganon.
Meron din
Yung
naman.
parang adult, alam naman natin for adult 101, diba?
Yes, meron din naman. Especially, let's say, ganito ha. So, if you work, let's say, in a bank, marami kasi sa mga IT naman, just a bank. Pag IT ka and then you prefer to work in a bank, of course, kailangan ng IT, di ba, sa mga bank. So, a lot of them are also medyo tenured din. So, experience na, doon na sila nagtatagal. And eventually, doon na sila nag-retire. For others naman, meron din naman yung mga project-based. So, there are different terms. Yes, meron din naman mayroong project-based na if you want project-based lang na after ng project na to, I'm done, I'll try to look for others. Mas malaki naman, in terms of compensations, mas malaki yun kasi nga project-based siya compared dun sa tenured, parang full-time job. Pero it really depends on what it works for you. So, meron din tayong mga part-time, meron tayong mga full-time din. sa IT nga lang, that's the thing, ano yung nanonotice ko na lang, no? So, sa IT kasi, di ba, our technology changes a lot. So, nagbabago siya na nagbabago na nagbabago. So, a lot of the developers din, or mga programmers na lang natin, they stay in a company, let's say, mga around 5 years. And then, darating sila sa point na parang they wanted to try other things or ganyan. And then, they move to a different company or different role that does different things naman. So, since there are many technologies available out there, so, one of the key things why lumilipat din yung mga tao is that, one, actually, based sa survey nga namin, it's not just the money. It's really more of yung growth nila. So, they're always looking for what are the things pa na
Yes.
pag dumating na sila dun sa point na, ay, parang dumating na ako sa point na parang nag-stagnate na ako sa company. That's when they would consider moving to another company na. So, yan yung mga reasons din. So, in terms, unless yung sa person na yun, gusto niya, okay, I just enjoy my stay here sa company kahit ito lang yung gagawin ko. Pero hindi yun yung nagiging trend. Yung nagiging trend is that people will move to a different company unless bibigyan siya ng bagong project or bibigyan siya ng different kind of role na away from saan siya sanay. Ayan.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Dr. Sabili. And sa ano niya ngayon, ma'am, are you still from time to time nag-volunteer pa rin sa DevCon, ma'am? Like your chat?
Yes.
Sige pa rin. Okay. Pero yung pinaka-base po ninyo is sa Manila na ngayon, Cagayan pa rin.
Yes.
Okay.
Manila right now. Pero digital na naman so you can be anywhere.
Okay po. By the way, one of our instructors is actually a graduate of Xavier at the same time. Si Comsci din, si Sir Ken Sintorias. And yeah, so kaya sabi po niya na parang familiar po kayo sa kanya, ma'am. And then, ma'am, I really like the idea yung sinabi niyo na as a student, parang magsimula na silang magkaroon ng portfolio because starting sa second year student, ang ginagawa ko po sa kanila, pinapagawa ko sila ng parang personal website. And then, progressively, lalagay na doon yung mga output nila. So, somehow, it would be good for them, especially kung magaling na sila na makikita na yung progression nila. And then, another magandang purpose din po pala is yung sinasabi po ninyo when a client would try to check the capacity of the student or parang kasi it would be evident there kung ano yung kaya niyang gawin. And then, diba?
Correct.
So yeah, we'll continually be doing that na i-compile na yung project nila for that purpose also. Thank you very much po sa na yan.
Yes,
then,
I also have a tip pala, Sir Ron. So I have a tip. So this is an industry recommendations, no. A lot of the mga companies I know, if the school kunyari recommends, diba? Of course the students will have projects. We would recommend them to create or ilagay nila sa GitHub if they create a GitHub account. Do you use GitHub ngayon sa school?
Yes po.
Ayun. So if you already can encourage your students na yung mga projects nila, nilagay nila dun sa GitHub, it's a really huge help, especially if programmer yung ina-applyan nila or developer. It's a really huge help kasi nakikita na ng employer. Although hindi si HR yung magche-check. Yung magche-check niyan is kung sino yung magiging boss ng person na yon. So, or kung sino yung magiging ka-teammates. Kasi makikita na nila, okay, this is how this person thinks. Kasi makikita mo, diba, pag based sa code, makikita mo paano niya sinosolve yung mga problems. Is makikita nila yung code doon, meron na din silang portfolio na during this time, ganito ako mag-code. Tapos, that second year, third year, andun din yung mga projects niya. Ayun. So, may mga reference ka din. So, that's a live project din. So, aside from website, if they can put their code din, kahit mga mini projects lang nila dun sa GitHub, ayun. That's a really huge help. So, we were hoping din na, for example, when we do talks, we try to ask din sa mga schools or na gumagamit ba kayo ng GitHub or ng Git na lang. At least, kung marunong sila mag-Git sa industry, malaking
Malaking.
huge bump
Wow.
din yun. Kasi lahat ng, hindi naman lahat, pero I think lahat na ng companies has to have this some sort of version control na din. Ayun. So, recommendations for students din. Try to upload your projects kasi yung mga projects natin usually nakalagay, I'm not sure, nilalagay siguro natin sa laptop lang natin, tapos pag namatay yung laptop, wala na. Or lagay natin, let's say, sa Dropbox. Okay naman si Dropbox. It's just that if you're keen on pursuing a career in software engineering, ayun, we would recommend na try to put your code dun sa GitHub para you can see din. Ayun.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that wonderful input, ma'am. No? Kasi as for now, hindi talaga nagigit kami pero we haven't really maximized it, just like as how you have defined this for us to be used. So probably sa mga
Yes.
in-app namin na
Oh.
for that. And then we
I
are
tell
also
you,
trying.
if
ma'am.
kunyari if nagawa nyo yan, the employers will be impressed. Na talaga, sa school nyo, ito yung ginagamit.
Thank you for
Malaking,
that.
malaking push.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. We're also joined by Sir J. Mark, mama. May comment pa siya dito. Regarding to sa sinabi ni Vishay kanina, learn core design patterns rather than language itself. Yes. As long as you know the design pattern of a language, I think it won't be so difficult for you to jump from one language to another. It's more of learning the core stuff and knowing the kung saan ba efficient yung language na yan, and I think yung shift, it won't be really that difficult, but of course there would be a transition period to do so. And he also said about that work culture is the key. Yes, I do believe, kasi kahit na napakalaking sweldo pero kung
toxic naman
yung obnoxious yung kasama mo, sa inyo na yung sweldo nyo, parang ganun siguro, no?
Yup.
Sabi nga ni ex-senator Enrile, the ultimate purpose of man is to search for happiness daw, and that's very true in every endeavor that we do. If you're not happy with it, man, it's the opposite. You will feel sad all the time. Okay.
Yes.
So,
true.
And then so far, ma'am, what could you say ba? I mean, how is the
Sir, nag-post ka, sir.
I thought ako on a post. Sir, sorry,
Yes.
Ron.
Yeah, I think it's the internet connection.
Oo.
Yeah.
Sige.
Actually, may joke dyan the spirit is willing but the internet is weak.
Is giving up.
This yun, the spirit
Sige.
and the spirit is willing but the internet is weak.
Ayun, wala na. Ayun. Sige, I guess we can, if any more questions, maybe we can wrap this up, Vishi?
Yes, ma'am.
Sige.
So parang wala naman yata mga questions sa comments. Pero baka babalik yun si Sir Aaron. Kasi
sige.
may hina po talaga ang internet niya since nagka-klase po kami, ma'am. Pasensyahin na lang po natin. Ma'am.
Sige.
May question pala ako.
Sige po.
Yes. Yeah. Here in Manila. You have office here in Manila, right?
Yes. Yes, Dr. Mark.
Ma'am Haifa.
Yes. We have
Hello.
offices in Manila.
Meron kayong physical na office dito sa Manila. Yes.
Yes. So we
Right?
have Makati and Ortigas.
Meron naman for our Okay. for
Where are you based pala, Dr. Mark? I mean, where in Manila?
we're in Manila, ma'am, yung office niyo.
Sa ano, if you're Ortigas. So if you're familiar with sa Emerald, so Orient Square, and then we also have office din sa
Nawala.
Makati, sa Zwilig.
Yes po.
Hala. Dr. Mark, nawala
yes.
sila, no?
Yeah. Yeah. I used to work in University of Asia and the Pacific. Of course, I'm
Oo.
with Adamson now.
Adamson ka na now. Okay, okay.
Oo. Ayun, pero yeah. Yeah. So, yes.
Sige. I think, nawala na din si Vichy.
Sorry po, ma'am. Mahina po
yes,
talaga
yes.
internet.
Hello, ma'am.
And they're back.
Sorry po.
Yeah.
You guys are back.
Grabe talaga. Sorry sa hindi
ayun.
normal.
That's
Sa internet po, ma'am.
siguro we
Sorry po
can
talaga.
wait for them.
It's okay. Sige.
The-
Sir Ron,
Yeah.
do we have any more questions? Or
So far, I think, actually, medyo nag-overtime na tayo and I know na marami pang ginagawa si Miss Haifa, ma'am. Marami. Yes,
thank you so much for everyone.
I hope if you still have some time sunod, pwede namin invite kayo.
Thank you, ma'am. So enticing.
Thank you also, Dr. Mark, for joining us, and for Vishai for helping us out. And siguro before we end, ma'am, any last words po that you would want to share to every one of us po?
Ayun. So I guess last words lang right now is if in any level that you are, if you are still a student, you are already working or graduating soon, so it's not too late to start at something that will already help you jumpstart your career, no? So from now on, start, if there's something that interests you, try to get engaged with the community wherein there's interest, where you're interested in. So start there and get to know the people there. Para then you start building your network and start to create your own portfolio na din. Start to create your projects. Para that way, even though hindi mo naman kailangan at the moment, but when the time comes, you are ready. The opportunities, parang you are prepared whenever the opportunities comes in. So that's it. And good luck to you and everyone here. Thank you so much for listening. And I really enjoyed the conversations I had.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maraming salamat po sa time na binigay niyo, ma'am. So that was, again, Miss Haifa. And we've learned a lot po from you, ma'am. And guys, no man is an island, no? The more island you get familiar, the more enjoying, I think, yung life mo. We're just actually missing going to some islands right now because it's actually not possible, no? Because of the COVID. And this is EduTrends, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So we inform, we transcend, and we inspire people through this program. So hopefully you will again join us for our next episode. And again, thank you very much, Miss Haifa, for that wonderful talk. And thank you, Sir Visha, and thank you also, Ma'am Ambrosio, for doing the technical stuff because our IT is not around as of the moment. So thank you very much, and may the Father Almighty bless all of us together. Salamat po, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ingat po dyan, ma'am.